Yeah, I was going to say if you've got anything else, we can kind of jump to the next big story uh, that happened over the last week. And like you mentioned a little bit earlier, there were some things that we were starting to notice, at least with Denver, about kind of falling on this. They kind of went on a 4-game losing streak. And I want to say within less than 24 hours after our last episode recorded, the Denver Nuggets fired their head coach, Mike Malone. And I don't even, this is my own fault. I don't have the name of the new head coach, their assistant that kind of is stepping in. Um, but yeah, what are your thoughts on the Nuggets letting him go? Sorry for the airplane behind me.
So that's all right. You know, it's it is upsetting that both Mike Malone's tenure and president of basketball operations Calvin Booth's tenure came down to this. Essentially, it was like two siblings fighting, hoping that the
Yep.
other one would win, and they both lost at the same time. I don't think that was necessarily a bad move by the Nuggets organization. It was just the timing of it was awful, and then you have to wonder if between Malone and Booth, if they were just so caught up in their own ways and maybe perhaps too prideful that, I mean, essentially they were both in a way sort of, not, I don't want to say destroying, but they didn't have like the Nuggets' best intentions in mind, and that is maximizing Nikola Jokic's prime. So it's kind of sad that you almost see some of those. I mean, even if it's a season or two, some of that time dwindle, because that for any team and for any team in any sport, especially in the NBA, your chance to be on the mountaintop could be super short lived. Anything could happen, and so to hear things that like Michael Malone was purposely not playing certain players that Booth had acquired, just for like petty reasons, just to like prove a point. You could see how stuff like that would get him to lose the locker room. And what you hear is just in general, something like playing on a team with Nikola Jokic, which is supposed to be really fun, was starting to become a drag. And so I think some of that emotion was starting to display itself in the games that they've had recently, particularly since the All-Star break, which time they've had a losing record, not by much, but they've had a losing record since the All-Star break, which is that's odd for a team like this.
Yeah, no, we'll see. They're 4-6 in their last 10, so we'll see if they can kind of turn that around going into the playoffs. I think at least in whether it was today's game or yesterday, when it's one of those, it brings I don't want to say the possibility because that diminishes the current head coach and the work that he's done. But
David Edelman, by the way, David Edelman.
Thank you. Could Jokic be a player coach? He was sitting there with the whiteboard at one of the games. Does he seem like somebody that would? I don't think he's going to be scheming and doing all of the research and everything that coaches are usually doing as far as like game planning for the next opponent. But it had an unusual feel of like, hey, maybe this could be something that could work for the rest of the season, kind of like that, where he's doing his own thing, kind of dictating what's going to work best for him, if that's going to be something that kind of opens things up. Like you're saying, if they were not having fun playing with him just because of the style of play that Malone was putting on them, that if Jokic is able to be more free, is that going to be able to do more for this Nuggets team? Is that something that you could possibly see happening, or is this they're going to fall on their face kind of deal just because they aren't going to have like a direction and cohesion going into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, scheme obviously does matter, and I don't know how much that's going to change too much. In the last couple games going into the playoffs here, I'm pretty sure the game plan is still going to be give the ball to Jokic and everybody else run around and try to do something. But I mean, since they've had the coaching change, they did win, a must-win game against the Kings, and that's ahead of a big game that they have coming up tomorrow against the Grizzlies, the poor Memphis Grizzlies, to before they close their season against the Rockets. The latter of which I think is actually going to be the easier game, because I'm pretty sure the Rockets at this point are just about shutting down. They've secured their spot. They're the second seed. Going into the playoffs. They don't need to. They started Reed Shepherd yesterday. Is that right?